Hillary Clinton and emails. It is rising to the Oigavolt level for the Clinton campaign. It keeps on going and going and going. And Judicial Watch, conservative watchdog group, is in the middle of all of it. They want some information. They're getting information. And Hillary Clinton's campaign is going to have to deal with this for the next month or so, definitely leading up to the election. Joining me with more on all of this on the proverbial two-shot here, Jenna Bretter. Jenna, good to see you.
Good to be here. Yeah, boy, they are digging up information. They are. Judicial Watch, as you said, a conservative watchdog group, and they have filed a Freedom of Information Act to get 15,000 emails from the State Department. They want these revealed. And so slowly but surely, these emails are coming forward. And about 750 pages were released this week, and we're learning some big revelations from those. Really, it's showing the closeness the Clinton Foundation had with Secretary of State Clinton and her office and some of her top aides. So that's really what's being revealed here. And also the access. That's the key word, is access, that some of these donors had to Hillary Clinton because of the Clinton Foundation.
Well, Judicial Watch has really played a key role for a very, very long time, and now they're doing some key work. Let me ask you a little bit about, because Clinton's got more problems too. I mean, now you've got it's one thing to have Judicial Watch come after you, but the Associated Press now coming out. Tell us a little bit more about this revelation, because this is in newsrooms now all over the country. Once it's on Associated Press, it becomes a pretty big deal.
Oh, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. The Associated Press is nonpartisan media. I mean, you can make the argument that Judicial Watch is right-winged, but AP, I mean, every newsroom has a subscription to the Associated Press wires. And so it's the news that broke this morning. It was on newspaper covers. It's being broadcast out all over the country. Basically, the findings was more than half of those who met with Secretary of State Clinton, nearly more than half of those, gave money to the Clinton Foundation. So while there might not be evidence here that in fact favors were granted, this looks horrible, and there's no denying that these people had access to Clinton. Again, key word, access. Is access a favor?
Right, and in Washington, access is everything, for sure. I am curious, you've tweeted out a few things this week which I thought were interesting, which is like, how much of this can she take? I just wonder if it's just gonna be a problem that lasts all the way through the general election for her. What do you think?
It's the slow drip. I've heard that term kind of thrown out. The emails have been a continuing problem for Clinton and her campaign. But how much are the American people willing to take of this? How much will they? How much has to come out before they say enough is enough? I don't know. That has yet to be determined. Obviously, she has all of this coming at her from different angles. Judicial Watch, the AP, that is very damaging for her image of being not trustworthy, dishonest. These are all factors that narratives that she's been having to work against, and this is not helpful.
All right, Jenna, stay right there. Gary Lane joining us now from Virginia Beach. Gary, you've been a world traveler. You've been around for a while. Don't take that the wrong way, by the way. But you've you've seen the Clinton administration firsthand, and this pay-for-play mantra scenario has been around for a while. Tell us a little bit about what you've experienced down there.
David, it is nothing new. I was working in the Washington Bureau back during the first term of President Clinton, and the scandal that came out then, I mean, there were a number of scandals, if you remember correctly, but about 2 decades ago, a scandal was called the Lincoln Bedroom Scandal, and it was originally the idea of present Governor Terry McAuliffe of Virginia, who was working with the DNC at that time, and he said, look, some of the big DNC donors, those that are helping our Democrats get elected, need to be rewarded with perks, maybe golfing with the president, maybe dinner with the president at the White House, and even the Lincoln bedroom. And there were probably at least 900 people during the Clinton administration, the 8 years of President Clinton, that actually stayed at the White House, and some of them, because they were big donors to the Democrats, got to sleep in the Lincoln bedroom, and that was a big scandal at the time.
Gary, tell me how much you think this will hurt Hillary Clinton, and how much Trump can use this as kind of a narrative. It kind of goes to his rigged system, or at least the system issue, and I wonder, you brought up the Lincoln bedroom, if he couldn't tie some of that back in the day, and now you got 30 years of this stuff going on.
Well, what it is basically is nothing new. The Clintons have been doing this all along. It's the whole pay to play. If you want to have access to the president, and now if you want access, or back then the Secretary of State, when Hillary was Secretary of State, you have to pay. And how much you pay depends on what type of access you have. During the presidency of Mr. Clinton, it happened to be the big donors got the Lincoln bedroom. But how should Trump play this? Well, he's hammering away the emails, but he should hammer away again at the fact that this is nothing new. This is the modus operandi of the Clinton husband and wife team. If you get Hillary Clinton, you're going to get Bill as well. And Bill did this when he was president. Do we want to continue to degrade our history and our presidency and the White House by renting out things like the historic Lincoln bedroom to the highest bidder? And that's what it has become. Now, I'm not saying that Clinton is the only one who's done this. I mean, we have a long history. I guess Andrew Jackson gave jobs to people who would donate to his party as well, the Democrats back then. It's been done by other presidents. I think even President Bush had some visitors to the White House, maybe not to this extent with the Lincoln bedroom, but top donors get access, and that's the way our politics is played today. And I think the only way that we'll ever get away from this is if we have public financing, where we don't allow these lobbyists to have influence and these PACs to have influence on our politicians. But of course, we live in a free society, so will that happen? But if Trump is smart, he would say, look, folks, this is nothing new. He'd go back to the Lincoln bedroom situation and hammer away at that. But I think, David, ultimately, he has to sell himself as a competent person and as a strong leader. And that's what he has to convince the American people of.
Gary, before we let you go, I want to ask you about Aide, obviously very close to Hillary Clinton and has been for decades, really. Now she's involved in, we're hearing reports about how she has ties to, or at least her family has ties to the Muslim Brotherhood. And this has been out there for a while. Look, you're a world traveler. You've been all over the world, including scenic New Jersey. Well, maybe not New Jersey. But, you've been around the world. And tell me a little bit about the stories.
What exit?
What exit? Yeah. I'll tell you the exit. Exit 9B, Gary. Tell me a little bit about what you've been hearing from some of your world travels about this story, because boy, this has been out there, but now all of a sudden the mainstream media seems like they may be picking up on a few things here.
Well, David, I've made a lot of trips to Egypt in the last 5 years, and I can tell you several years ago, during the time of the Muslim Brotherhood, I had many Egyptians who would say to me, why is the American government supporting the Muslim Brotherhood? They're no good. They will not help our society. They're Islamists. Why are you supporting these terrorists, is what many of them describe them as being. And they told me at that time, they said, we think it's because you have many members of the Muslim Brotherhood and sympathizers right in the White House and the State Department within your administration. And I didn't think much of it. I said, oh, these are just the Egyptians trying to figure out why the U.S. is supporting the Muslim Brotherhood. Right. But you know what? As we see some of these things being revealed through the email scandal, and we see some of these emails, now we go, maybe they were right about that. Maybe there are people who support the Muslim Brotherhood, maybe actual Muslim Brotherhood members that are in our administration. And Aide, I think, it's got to be one of these situations where we say, hey, Lucy, you have a lot of explaining to do. And so, let's see what she says. Let's see what she says about connections between her family members and the Muslim Brotherhood. Let's ask her, Huma, do you support Sharia law? Do you think Sharia law is a good idea? You've written about it in the past when you were with the magazine. Tell us, do you support that today? Yeah. Would you support Muslims having a different set of rules in the United States where they fall under Sharia, everybody else is not? Let's ask her those questions. I think that's something that's reasonable to ask.
Gary, I appreciate it. And you come on here and you do impressions as well. Ricky Ricardo impression. Very, very impressive, by the way, when you did that. Thanks again. Thank you,
David.
All right.
Good to be with you.
Yeah. Jenna back with us. Jenna, Aide, boy, I tell you what, she's pretty close to Hillary Clinton, and I wonder what kind of role maybe she might have in the White House. If what the New York Post, I know, is out with a story too.
Yeah, the New York Post, they actually broke the story yesterday, and I think the big question what would her role be in a Clinton presidency?
Right.
There's speculation that because she's so tied at the hip to Hillary Clinton, that she could be the chief of staff. And yeah, we'll see what her role would be, if anything. But it certainly raises some interesting questions.
That's going to be very, you know, a lot of folks, many evangelicals, very concerned about the Muslim Brotherhood. Well, not just evangelicals, but boy, we'll see how that plays out. Thank you, Jenna.
Thank you so much.
Good to see you. And we are back here somewhere in the digital first land. We'll see you soon.